Okay, are we ready to go? Thank you so much, Tatiana, and thank you very much, Team SOS. So, CyberDrag. Set in a dystopian cyberpunk future, CyberDrag is a browser based fantasy sports style web app where users, like you and I, can invest in the careers of drag performers who are forced to stream every hour by a tech megacorp. So, I can understand that's a lot, and I'm sure in the next 7 minutes we're going to make it make sound a lot more sense to you there. We wanted to make a game that incorporated multiple players with a shared narrative, with fun random elements to make things more interesting. Cyber drag is an evolving world that evolves every hour. So we're going to talk about things like the technical aspect of it, and then we're going to show you how the web app works itself. So I'm going to pass you on to my colleague and friend Mike, who's going to talk you through about some of the more technical decisions we made earlier on in this project.
Hi, Mike here. Thanks, Rafa. We decided to go with a MERN stack for this project, which is a JavaScript software stack. So I'm going to avoid boring you with the details about that, but we definitely chose it because it was a challenge for us. We wanted to learn an entirely new technology, and I honestly thought it was a lot of fun. That's pretty much all I'm going to give you on this. If you're technically inclined, then the slides on the screen and you can enjoy the beautiful madness. But otherwise, I'm going to pass you on to Alex, who's going to talk to you about the much more interesting features that we managed to build over the past 2 weeks.
Thank you, Mike. Yeah, so the interesting thing I think about our web app is the amount of things that are going on in the background, which may not look all that much from the front end, but it's an interactive world, as Rafa said, where everything is evolving. All of the users have their own portfolio of shares, which are tied to the net worth of the individual randomly generated performers. You can buy and sell different shares, and the price that you buy and sell at are affected by that performer's net worth. Each performance that everyone performs in, there is a random chance that an event will occur where all the performers, and it'll affect them in different ways. Performers also have traits which will protect them from certain events. So we have things like food poisoning, and if you are a vegetarian or the performer has the vegetarian trait, then they won't be affected by that. Those that are affected during the performance are then stopped performing for the next X number of times that people have to perform. And they still have costs attached to that. So their values and your shares will go down as they are stopped from streaming. There are also positive effects where values are increased and your shares will go up as a result of that. And I'm going to hand over to my colleague, Alex, who will give you a demonstration of the website.
Thank you, Alex. I didn't get colleague and friend, and I'd like that to be on the record. Okay, so this is how the app looks to the user. So this is just a little landing page with some sort of Philip K. Dick inspired flavor text. Reasonably cryptic to kind of not give too much away about the platform, which we want to sort of evolve to the user over time. And as Rafa mentioned, be a collective experience where you have your own portfolio of shares, but actually everyone's playing the same game. So you can see the top 3 performers here. So our queens are randomly generated with a first name and a last name and an avatar. And as Alex alluded to, this is a list of the events that have happened to our queens during their performances. So that ranges currently from food poisoning to being rounded up by the cyberpunk thought police for streaming content that might not be regarded as appropriate. And you can see when the next performance is going to be. So that's set up on our server to run once an hour. Here you can see a list of all of the current queens. So there are always 20. And you can go onto their profile, and here's where you select to buy either one share, or you can select a number of shares to buy or sell. And it's correctly pluralized, which was obviously tremendously important. And then the server remembers how many shares that you own, and you can share X number of shares, you can hedge your investments, you can really do everything that you could on Robinhood, except it's much more niche in terms of what you can invest. You can't sell shares if you don't own them, for example. So you've got error checking throughout the app, and there's a lot of testing on the back end, which again is quite boring, but very, very important, as we've learned throughout our time at Makers to do. So here's the profile page where you can see your portfolio. So those are the shares that I own. That's my balance, and these are all of the transactions that I've made. So again, that's just rendering of the data that's on the server. I'm now going to pass you over to Rafa again to conclude our presentation. Thank you. And my friend and colleague, Rafa.
Thank you, Alex, my friend and colleague. So I guess there was some highs and lows, obviously. A big part of this project, although it's our final project, we're still at the boot camp. So we're very much in a process of learning. There's loads of learning to take away. Not to get too technical, but the style of the coding framework, should we say, the way we're working, was very kind of almost modular based, a bit like Lego blocks being assembled in different kind of ways. And we really kind of enjoyed that kind of working process. And it's very different to how we were working at the start of the course. So it was really nice to work in a very different way. It was a creative project, and that was also really nice. I think there's always a misconception that coding is very kind of, ultra kind of rigid and mathematical and scientific, but it's also wonderfully creative as well. And I think we could lean into that at times when we were feeling a bit bogged down in trying to solve errors and things like that. So that was great. Some of the low points, some of the technical stuff that we were learning for the first time certainly it was challenging, shall we say. Making the website do what I guess your average user like you and I would think is super simple is actually really, really difficult, and it gives you a tremendous amount of respect for professionals who do this. Hopefully we are going to become soon. And because it was such a huge project, and normally in these kind of teams, there'd be someone working on the way the website looks and someone who works on how it operates at the back, on kind of the back end, so to speak. You'd have two separate teams. We didn't want to work like that because we wanted to learn the whole process, and keeping on top of that can be very difficult. But overall, it was a wonderful experience and a great team.